Tonight's topic, unlocking wealth, the art of house hacking. We'll get into house hacking if you don't know what it is, but it is a strategic approach to leveraging your living situation using a primary loan or a primary residence to help generate income. Whether you already own a home or you're looking to purchase a home to be able to house hack, this webinar should be helpful for you. So I hope you learned something, and we will have a Q&A at the end if you have any questions that come up. For now, if you wouldn't mind just staying muted. All right, let's get started. So today's agenda and what you can expect from today is, first, I'll talk a little bit about who I am and why I'm so passionate about this topic. We'll get into what is house hacking for those of you that don't know, the 6 essentials of a successful house hack, and then finally I'll end with a small gift for you. So my name is Austin Cassidy. I am a licensed real estate agent in Washington, Oregon, and Oklahoma. I am associated with Tanner Realty Group and Keller Williams, and I am the Director of Operations for the Tanner Realty Group team. And I am also a founding member of Young Professional Investors, a group of young professional investors who have a platform to educate and network with other people trying to do well through real estate investments and give them the education they need to be able to learn and grow throughout their own journey. I can continue on about different accolades, different success stories that I have, but I really do find that speaking to someone, if you ask them, who are you? And they give you their name and maybe their job title. And I don't think that's enough to really get to know someone. I think you really get to know someone and get to know, who they are by the passions that they have. And so I just wanted to take, instead of going into the accolades that I have, I wanted to take a quick minute to go into a few of my passions. I think it's really important to get to know someone that way. So I'm obviously passionate about real estate, helping buyers and sellers alike in the retail sector, or the sector of just buying homes to live in, and maybe that's all, not investing. But also, I think there's more to it. I think helping investors or even people work into the investment sector, because it's in reality it's not that hard, but it's not easy either. It's simple, not easy. I'm also an stock equities trader. So I'm in the larger economy as well, looking at different commodities, utilities, stocks, bonds, and just keeping an eye on the overall pulse of the industries across the board. I really enjoy personal fitness. I enjoy the sciences. I actually have a biochemistry degree. I'm very analytical. I like to look into things, research things, test hypotheses, and I think that allows me to find creative solutions within the real estate sector. And then lastly is I am a father, and so my passion for all of this comes from being able to help my family and help your families alike grow and become better. So like I mentioned, I am a part of the Young Professional Investors Group and Keller Williams and Tanner Realty Group. So what is house hacking, and why should you care? You obviously care a little bit, or you know something about house hacking. You may have heard it around, and that's why you're here to learn about it. But the simple definition of house hacking is it's a real estate strategy that involves purchasing a property with the intention of living in it yourself while also renting out a portion to other people. This allows you to generate income from your personal residence and potentially build wealth through real estate without having to just be a strict investor. There's a lot of benefits of allowing someone to either rent a room, rent an ADU, or rent out of your multi-unit complex that you don't get from just a traditional buying a home. So before we get into the essentials, I did throw a few things in here. And I told you I'm analytical. I have a biochemistry degree. I really like the numbers. So I just wanted to break down kind of the power of the real estate house hack. And so I'll kind of walk you through this. We won't spend too much time here because really we just want to get into the concept, but I wanted to show you the power of it. So here we have a purchase price of $500,000 with a 5% down payment to get a loan amount of $475. Interest rate of 7.25, and after all taxes, insurance, you're going to still have PMI because it's 5% down. Your total monthly payment may come out somewhere around $4,000. Well, say this is a duplex and you're able to rent out one side while living in the other for $1,700. Well, your remaining principal, interest, taxes, insurance payment is going to be $2,300. And in today's market, rentals are sometimes difficult to come by, and the housing market isn't much better for people. So to be able to get a payment at $2,300 is actually very competitive while you're continuing to build equity in your home, and you also have many other advantages. So now let's look at some of those advantages. Say you were able to make the payment, and we're just looking at the mortgage payment here, not all the extra taxes and all of that. But say you were able to make an extra payment of, out of that $1,700, an extra payment of $1,200. Well, looking here at a 30-year traditional mortgage, your monthly payment standard would be $3,200 and add $1,200 to get the $4,400. If you were able to make those payments and use the rent as additional payment, you would actually be able to overcut your loan time in half and have over $400,000 in interest savings. And that's if you rolled it over. A lot of people are looking at house hacking because it allows them to lower their monthly liability of their living expenses, but also, or even potentially live for free. But there is other options as well, just to be able to pay that down quicker, especially in high interest rate environments. Now, last one with the numbers here. This is the house hack plus the investment trail. And the investment trail is just buying multiple primary residences and then doing a house hack in each one of those. I won't go too far into this because it does get a little complicated. But if you were to buy a house hack every year, which isn't realistic for everyone, but you use those same numbers and a home appreciation value of just 2%, over those 5 years, you're going to almost get 128% return on the money you've actually invested. And like I said, I'm not going to go into all of this right now as I don't think it's pertinent for our time here. However, it just shows the power of the house hack plus an investment trail. In 5 years, you can actually build a portfolio value of over $2.7 million. Now let's jump into the 6 essentials of house hacking. And number one, I say this with pretty much doing anything, is you need to define your goals. Defining your goals and making a plan is very, very important. I talked through this with my first-time home buyers. I talked through this with sellers. Defining your goals is always step number one. And for house hacking, some common considerations for defining your goals include your financial objectives. So are you just trying to offset your monthly payment? Are you trying to pay off your loan as quick as possible? Or what are you really trying to get out of this financially? Also, lifestyle considerations. House hacking isn't always the most comfortable for everyone. If you're looking to rent out a single room in your house that you live in, you might have to give up a little bit of freedoms, as if you were to give up a little bit of freedom, which you would have if you just lived alone. Also, your time frame. How long are you willing to invest in a house hack? Are you willing to do it for 5, 10 years? Or do you want to do maybe 1 or 2 properties, or just one property for a little bit until you feel your job's more stable? Your risk tolerance. Investing in anything always has its risks, so you need to make sure that you're really dialed into market conditions and also just knowing what you're willing to tolerate in the risk sector there. Make sure you have your exit strategy. This goes along with what you're trying to do financially. Are you trying to hold these investments long term, turn them into traditional rentals? Are you trying to sell them at the end of this? What are you trying to do with your equity here? And then personal growth. I think with any investment, you should always try to grow yourself. You should always try to learn. So are you trying to just network with more real estate professionals or people in the industry? Are you trying to learn more about property management? The velocity of money. What are you trying to learn about through this investment? Number two, research and analysis. This will be some of your heavy lifting in the house hacking strategy. And for me, this is the fun part because you get to really look into everything, analyze the numbers, analyze markets, find trends and patterns, and find what's going to work for you. But if you have your goals set correctly, the research and analysis should really be narrowed down to just a few things. So number one, market trends. You need to look around your local market, see, is it a good rental market? And that's also getting into the rental comparables. Are you going to be able to get enough to make it worth it for your house hack if you rent out a room or rent out the duplex or rent out, up to a 4-unit multi-property? Also look at your neighborhood dynamics. Is the house hack you're going to want to do or that makes sense for you in a neighborhood that you want to be in? Or does it fit in that neighborhood? Your due diligence, you're going to do this if you buy any home, but this is your inspection period, looking at the numbers, making sure it's all going to pencil out for you. Then this goes into the financial analysis and strategy. There's a lot that can go into financial analysis and strategy, and there's so many different ways to structure a deal, and everyone's situation is going to be different. However, you can use conventional loans, FHA loans. You can potentially use hard money. Maybe you don't even need a loan. You can pay cash. That's fine too. But make sure you have a budget. Make sure you have some cash reserves, and being able to plan that ahead of time will really save you. Also look at risk mitigation. How can you mitigate risk before you even take a step into the house hack? Then start looking into property types. This goes with the goals, defining your goals. But what are you really trying to do? Are you trying to buy a multi-unit property, so 1 to 4 units, rent out the others, and live in one of the units? Are you trying to do it with a single family home that has an ADU, or just a single family home where you rent out 1 or 2 rooms to friends, colleagues, classmates, whoever it may be? That's the rent by room. You could do a short-term rental. It could be a property with 2 homes on a single lot, or even an ADU, and you can do a short-term rental with like an Airbnb or VRBO, whatever it may be, and you may actually cash flow a little bit more with that, but not as frequent. But you could do long-term rentals as well. And then with any of these strategies, you can do value add. Can you find a property that may be a little distressed that you can actually put value into it by doing some rehab when you first purchase the property, get a higher rental rate, and then make a little more profit that way as well? There's also some creative strategies. House hacking doesn't have to be where someone lives with you in your space, a tenant that you're looking over their living situation. It can also be where someone parks a trailer on the side of your home. Do you have space for 2 or 3 trailers that you can rent out for $100, $200, $300 a spot, depending on your area? But then you don't have people living in your home. You're able to also still generate income from your property without having to have people in your personal space. So that might be a little smaller scale, but I wanted to go back to the power of that. You may be thinking, do I really want to go through all that trouble for an extra $200 a month? Well, I want to show you why you may. So looking back at the extra mortgage payments, if your standard payment is that $3,240 that we talked about earlier, and you added just $200 to that over the life of the 30-year loan, your interest savings would be almost over $140,000, and you'd save almost 5 years on your mortgage. So every little bit can actually create and generate a pretty big return if you're putting it back into the home. You may want the cash flow. That's totally fine too, but this is just an option. Our next step is financial preparation. So you're going to be working with your lender for, are you ready to buy this home? And financial readiness, here's a few steps that I recommend making sure you kind of look at or know about before even speaking with the lender, just to start having goals and going towards something to be financially ready for that mortgage. Number one is your credit score. Aiming for a 620 score is a good place to start. Higher scores, you can generally get different loan products that may be more advantageous in terms of interest rate, points paid, all of that. You may be able to actually get in for less than 620, but it's always good to have a goal there. Look at your debt to income ratio. So looking at how much money is coming in and out with your financial obligations. Down payment savings. So do you have 3.5% to 20% saved to be able to purchase this home? And that's a wide range, I know, but that's one of the great things about house hacking. You're buying it with a personal residence loan. So you can get in with like an FHA for 3.5%. versus your traditional investment product is going to be anywhere from 20 to 25% down. This allows you to get your foot in the door and actually start investing maybe a little bit earlier. These next two, emergency fund and cash reserves. These may sound very similar, but I actually put these in two different segments. The emergency fund I look at as a personal emergency fund. Although you will need cash reserves for the property and for operating like a business, this emergency fund is for if something happens to you, your family. You can never be too careful, but generally 3 to 6 months is a good buffer there for you. The cash reserves is going to be extra cash put aside for closing costs, for once you're under contract with inspections, all of that, with say a hot water heater goes out, you need to be able to replace that because you are responsible for keeping that place hospitable for the tenant as well. And then monthly budget. This shouldn't be a huge thing, but have a monthly budget. It's always good to make sure you know what's going to be coming out and make sure you can afford these properties. Also, do any of these sound maybe like too much? You say, well, my emergency fund is my down payment. Doesn't mean you have to wait. You can consider a partner as well, either a financial partner or just an investment partner that will go in with you and maybe even live in the other side of the duplex. You can buy a duplex, 2 friends, you both live on one side and then you rent it out later on. There's a lot of different creative strategies within the house hacking strategy to make it happen. You just have to be willing to explore. Now, property acquisition. So we've set our goals, we've looked at our finances, we've connected with a lender, we know we're ready to do this. Who do we talk to now? What do we do? The house hacking strategy is very advantageous to those working a 9-to-5 position and also self-employed individuals. However, everyone is busy. Do you really want to be learning all of this by yourself, especially if this is your first investment property? I would say no. It's time to bring in the experts. So some of the experts that you may want to look into getting are a real estate agent, a lender, a home inspector, and legal professionals. They're going to help walk you through the process, not only of purchasing the property, but also giving you data on the market, insider insights into the property. They're going to process your loan. They're going to assess the condition of the property and uncover hidden issues, giving you more knowledge of how to negotiate in the transaction. And then legal professionals are going to help you review contracts, help you with any legal matters after closing, help you with landlord-tenant laws. So it's really good to build a team around yourself, even for something as simple as a house hack. Most people may look at house hacking and say, well, since it's a personal loan, I can probably do everything myself, just get a tenant in there and not worry about anything. I always recommend seeking professional guidance, especially in a situation like this. You need to still operate it as a business if you're looking at it from an investment standpoint. So next step is property setup and management. In my house hacking booklet, I actually go into this in a little more depth. However, I want to do a quick overview. This is very extensive and could take a long time. And in the interest of today, we're just going to do a quick run through of these. So number one is you're going to look at renovations and improvements. So before you place a tenant, are there any renovations that need to be done to the property that can maximize your rental cost or your rental and be able to get you the highest rent possible? Next is your tenant screening and lease agreements. You want to have a system for this, and you want to have solid lease agreements to protect yourself, and it will also protect your tenant at the end of the day. Also, look at property maintenance and repairs. How do you maintain a property and repair it while a tenant is in place? This is different than if you just lived there. If you just live there, you may let something go on, you may defer that maintenance. With a tenant, you may not be able to do that. So having a plan from the start for these type of issues is really, really imperative. Rent collection and financial management, just being able to have your books. Like I said, you're operating a business. How are you going to be collecting rent from them? Do you have an online portal? Or are they writing you a check and you're giving them a receipt? How are you tracking everything? Tenant relations and communication. If you have a good tenant, you probably want to keep them. So having a good relations plan and communication plan and just having a systematized operation within your house hack can save you a lot of money long term. One other thing I'd like to say about this is just because it's a house hack, especially when you're in the multi-units, doesn't mean that you can't have a property manager. You could live in one unit and still have a property manager for the other 1, 2, or 3 units on the other side. Doesn't mean you have to deal with all of it yourself, especially if you're really busy. But you just need to factor that into your financial considerations as you're working the deals and underwriting them. So our last step here is monitor and adjust. So you've purchased your property, you have a tenant in place, it's going well, now what? Well, to ensure long-term success, I always recommend regular performance evaluations. So you want to continue to run the numbers of your property, making sure it's producing what you want. Also, be flexible in your strategy. If you're looking to expand your portfolio, you may need to look at different avenues based on the current market environment. Are interest rates higher? Well, maybe you need to look at more units to offset more of your living expenses. Or maybe you need to stay put for a couple more years. That's okay, but you need to be able to adjust to those based on the current market. Addressing issues promptly. So this is in the purchase of the property, this is in renovations, and this is in dealing with tenants as well. It can save you a lot of money by just communicating well and being on top of everything. Deferred issues are issues that become bigger than they should be. Looking at financial optimization, this is watching interest rates. Today's rates are relatively high compared to the last few years, but not historically. So watching rates, if they come down to a significant enough value to make your payments, quite a bit less, it may be worth it to refinance that loan, make a little extra cash flow, or offset your payment even more. A reassessment of goals. Life happens. Situations change. Maybe you need to stop the house hack at some point. That's okay. But you just need to have a plan and be able to assess your goals and then continue to execute on that new plan. Seek professional advice. As I mentioned before, operate this like a business and you'll be thankful that you took it seriously. So as a quick summary, we'll go through the 6 steps again. So define your goals, research and analysis, financial preparation, property acquisition, property setup and management, monitor and adjust, and then I added this 7th one, embrace the process and grow. House hacking, like anything else, has its risks. And if you embrace the process, you look to grow and learn, it can be an imperative investment strategy that can help you grow your wealth like you could have never imagined. So I mentioned I have a small gift for you. It is small, but it is mighty, and it is my house hacking guide. It's a PDF version. I'll be sending it to all of you via email after this. But in this, we go a lot more in depth than I did today, where it actually breaks down each one of those points, kind of how I did, but it breaks it down to where you're going to be able to follow along and follow the steps and execute your first house hack. And if you have questions, always reach out to me. I'm happy to answer these questions and help you kind of figure out the answers for those. Don't do it alone. Feel free to give me a call, email me, and like I mentioned, I'm associated with YPI, Young Professional Investors, Keller Williams, and Tanner Realty Group. If you'd like to learn more about either other investment strategies, other sectors of investment, go to youngprofessionalinvestors.com, or if you'd like to start searching for homes, go to my website there, austincassidy.kw.com.